This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 772. Meow, that's a gathering skill. Enjoy. What would your advice be to someone who is closing in on the 70s and wants to make a true push for 99 now that they've discovered that, hey, I like the way this skill works and I like the way this skill feels? What should they be doing in the 70 to 80 range, and how does the XP look? And we'll, of course, pepper all these references in as we get through there.
So I didn't really notice a big increase in XP until the mid 80s.
All right.
But I did notice that I don't think it matters what level you are in this skill. It's simple. You go and you collect artifacts and you restore them. Now, if you choose to collect artifacts and buy your materials, you're going to get it a little bit quicker. If you choose to collect your artifacts and gather materials in the process, and then if you're missing a few here and there, go hit up a cache or stay at the excavation site, that's also an option. I did appreciate the XP per hour, per se, for the first maybe 60 or 70 levels. I think we have too many quick, hard-hitting, I can buy it and speed it up skills.
Yeah.
I do like the kind of capped at 100K an hour, 200K an hour as you start progressing up past 99 up to 120. I think they're kind of hitting around 500K. And I think that's the perfect kind of like spot for a skill like this. You don't want it to be too fast. You don't want the people who have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bills to just fly right through it. There's still time locked on the artifact aspect. You can buy artifacts.
And that's what we said in the past, is that it seems as though 500 to 700K is the sweet spot for post-99 training in all these skills. And I know, Tanis, you disagree with me when they knocked the turtles down, but I realize saying that here, I'm probably poking a hornet's nest, and that's a discussion for another day with both of you here.
Not turtles, just...
Well, I finished it, so I don't care what they did. Rip the hill and back.
So I guess then we can just say that you said it starts to pick up around the mid-80s. So would it be a fair assessment to say that for anybody who's leveling up and working through from, let's just say extend it all the way back to from the end of the tutorial to the mid-80s, that, just stay at whatever excavation site is the best for your level?
Exactly. As you unlock a new site, go and excavate there. That's where your best XP per hour is. However, some levels, I think 81, you unlock 3 sites or 3 excavation locations at 3 different sites.
Yeah.
I pushed past it. I didn't visit the other ones, and I ended up having to revisit at a higher level to finish my collections.
Right.
So definitely, say you unlock 3 different sites.
Finish the collections for those sites that you can.
Correct.
Yeah.
Before you just stay at one spot the rest of the time.
And, this is what I've found as well in my, what I'll call casual leveling of the skill over the last week and a half, is that if you complete the collections, you complete the mysteries that you have unlocked, and then you just spend a little bit of extra time here and there, you're going to have enough XP to get to all the various levels. It's not like you're going to be striving and thirsting for XP. I think the only time I felt that was the high 50s and early 60s, and since then it's been perfect. At level 68, I headed to the Infernal Source to work on the Chaos Stars and Spiked Dog Collars down there, and I assume at level 69 I'll go back to Everlight for the Dominion Games podium. And one question I have with this, and I've seen it in some of the recent artifacts, are there many dig sites and excavation sites out there where you're not given all the materials you need at that excavation site? You need to bounce around between excavation sites to get the materials to restore said artifact.
Yeah, so like, for example, right now, the one I'm at, it gives me every item I need to restore every artifact I'm getting.
Which one are you at, out of curiosity?
Hellfire Forge.
All right.
And so it's giving me all the materials I need to restore all 3 artifacts that I will obtain here, minus 1. So I'm not sure what exact one for this level, but for my previous level, for example, I was at the Warforge, and I was getting the Malachite and the marks of war, or the marks of the K word, because I don't know how to pronounce that, and so on. But they weren't giving me white oak. So I then had to go buy white oak for all of the artifacts that I had collected.
All right. And I mean, with that, you either go to the cache or you buy on the exchange. And I think that's probably a simple choice to make, depending on how you feel about spending money on the skill. And we'll be touching on this as we move through the entire part of this, and we'll find that it's very self-sufficient. You'll feel like you're being an Iron Man some of the times when you're doing this. All right. So that's going to be the method that you're going to take probably throughout. Would you say the majority of the skill, just excavate the highest site that you can in terms of what's available to you? All right.
Right. Now, starting out, it was a little rough because, like at 70, when you unlock the Storm Guard,
yeah.
When I hit 70, there was very few people up there. And there was not enough people gathering materials and selling them for everybody interested in buying them. So the prices for these certain materials, like the Storm Guard steel and the Wings of War, they were astronomical. So instead of staying at that level, I had to drop back a few to maybe like the Zeros area.
Okay.
But for now, I think there's plenty of people in every location where you really don't have to worry about that.
So in fact, the supply for all these materials is indeed starting to fill out on that.
Yes, yep, for sure.
Now, you mentioned that in the mid-80s, the XP per hour starts to jump up. What would you say, or when would you say you exactly noticed that, and by how much of a magnitude was that?
Well, so prior to 80, you notice it's like you go here and you're here for 3-4 levels.
Right.
Around the 80 mark, you start to notice at every level, minus a few here or there, you will unlock a new look. So like at 83, you're at the Warforge, and then at 84, you shoot back to Everlight, I think that's right. And then at 85, you shoot to Stormguard.
Right.
And so you're kind of all over the place. And at that point, when I started having a new location at every level, I felt like the XP started to scale.
All right. And, with that, like, let's just, for example, have a look at the one from level 85, saying one of the artifacts is the Hawkeye Lens Multi-Vision Scope. Certainly a mouthful there on that. You get 8.9k XP for restoring that. You need only Stormguard steel and Orthonglass for that. And that seems like a fairly simple recipe on that front, because you're going to be getting Orthonglass from the very beginning. And if you're not using that much, you're going to be able to pick it up. And you're going to also have been collecting Stormguard steel since level 70. So you can kind of start to see the lens that's working its way in here. Tanis, do you have any questions for Brew going up to the mid-80s at all?
No, not at this point.
All right. What would you say was your favorite level range or excavation site in the mid-80s?
Let's see. I was really got into the Kiradep place, and there's been a lot of talk whether that's the best all-around spot because the batteries that you get. And you can turn these batteries in for XP, and there's a whole calculator that you can do now and figure out how much XP per battery that you're gathering. And so that adds, a little bit more XP per hour.
Yeah, and a fun note on that, when you actually turn your batteries in, you get more if you hand in more batteries at one time.
Exactly.
Rather than just handing in, boop, 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 one at a time, and there you go on that. So
is that not a percent boost then? Like
I don't exactly know what it is. Brew, do you know, is it linear in terms of the batteries that you get, or how does that scale up in terms of how much you get.
How many batteries you get while excavating?
Or, I mean, sorry, for handing in. How does the XP work for that, handing the batteries in?
Also, depending on your archaeology level, and then depending on...
I see the calculator here on the wiki. Okay.
Yeah, so I think you get if you turn in 10 or more, you get 10% more. If you turn 100 in, I feel like it's 20%. And then I think that's the cap. So if you have like 98 batteries, it's better to go and grind out 2 more real quick.
Right. I said if you're 85 and you gave 10 batteries, you would get 24. You get 2705 experience, but the base on that would be 2459, and the boost being because you put so many batteries in, you get an additional 10%. Now, instead, assume you were 85 and you gave 100 batteries, you'd get a base of the same 24,592, just multiplied by a factor of 10. But because you gave the extra 90 batteries on that, you would get from that 29,500 experience for powering that. And
right.
See, this is something I think many people haven't realized here on this. And, just using the calculator, you keep putting in numbers here. The maximum is indeed 20% that you would get for handing those in. And this also goes back to research, because some of the research assignments for Career Ed also give you batteries.
And some of the collections also give you batteries as rewards for completing. The Zerosian guy.
But you know what
think of his name.
You know what the Dr. Nabanek. You know what the downside of that is, though, and this is something people will realize, is that you can't actually bank the batteries.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Between that and your tomes, that was kind of the rush up to the 99. So your batteries stop at level 98. It doesn't scale past 98. Your tomes, however, do.
Ooh.
So if you have a stack of batteries at 98, there's no point in holding on to them until I hit 119, because I'll get more. It doesn't work like that. But the tomes, however, do. And the tome XP, based on one level versus the other, like there's certain points where you get one more level and the XP is a whole lot more than previous, or just like the small incremental increase. And so I was holding my tomes and batteries as long as I could in my inventory, and that became a huge struggle. But in the end, it was worth it, because instead of getting, 5K XP, I turned it in for 35K XP.
All right, so that's just in general. A tip is, if you're working in Career Ed, you give batteries when it's more than 10, or if you're going to be there for the long haul, give it when it's more than 100. So
right.
That's good, and that's a good tip for training on this band. You can watch full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. You can also listen to audio versions of RSBANDB Update at update.rsbnb.com, and feel free to subscribe to our show and any number of podcast listeners out there at update.rsbnb.com/subscribe.